Hello, welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. I'm Musgrove here. Hope you guys are doing well. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Hit subscribe, get into the comments as well. I'll get back to each and every one of you. If you're listening on the audio only channel, thank you as always. Please remember to leave us a rating and review. Your support is appreciated. Today's episode is all about the new deals for two of Newcastle United's first team stars and question about what the future holds for three stars who are out of contract this summer. First off, you'll be well aware that Emil Krafth and Martin Dubravka have signed new deals at Newcastle United. Strangely, no word on how long Martin Dubravka's new deal is for, but Emil Krafth has signed a new 1-year deal, which is fantastic news for him. 50 times capped by Sweden, very versatile player, very dependable player. I think he's won the hearts of many Newcastle United fans for his commitment and effort when he does get called upon. Some really standout performances in the last couple of years. I think under Eddie Howe, he is up there with the likes of Joe Linton and Fabian Schar is one of the most improved players. Eddie Howe's turned him into something really, really special. And I think Newcastle United going forward, hopefully in the Champions League, will need a squad to handle the rigors of that. And I think Emil Krafth provides that really, really well. Can play anywhere across the back four. Very good at right back. Good in the middle of the defence as well. And look, is he going to be first team week in, week out? No, I think he will provide really good competition for the players battling for those various positions. I think he'll keep the standard on the training pitch really, really high. He'll know, not just be making up the numbers. I don't think that for a second. I think he will really be thinking he can get into this first team. What he does, though, more than anything, is just provide that extra body in the squad, the right attitude, the high standard in training, and that versatility, which is really, really key. On Martin Dubravka, it's an interesting one. Lots of people jump into various conclusions about what it means to the goalkeeping department going forward. You would assume it is a year deal, just like Emil Krafth. We know that Martin Dubravka had the chance to leave to go to Saudi Arabia in January. At that point in time, Newcastle United, he was the first choice goalkeeper because Nick Pope suffered an injury. Nick Pope is back, fighting fit. He played in that FA Cup game against Birmingham. For the moment, Martin Dubravka has held on to his place. Will he still be between the sticks against Nottingham Forest on Sunday? That remains to be seen. A lot of people calling for Nick Pope to come back in to goal. Let us know in the comments what you would do there. But Eddie Howe was very clear throughout January. He didn't want to lose Martin Dubravka. Whether that had more to do with the fact that Nick Pope was out injured and wasn't ready to come back, I don't know. Some people are suggesting that means that Martin Dubravka will remain number two. Nick Pope will be sold in the summer and a new goalkeeper coming in. James Trafford is the man at the top of the list. Various reports suggesting that a deal has been done and he will join Newcastle regardless if Burnley go up or stay in the Championship, although they are looking destined for a return to the Premier League. That's another bit of news. That split opinion right down the middle. When that deal looked like it was going to be done in the summer, a lot of people complained on social media saying he's not the standard we should be looking at. He had a terrible season in the Premier League when Burnley were relegated. But I tell you what, he is one of the main components to why Burnley look destined for a return to the top flight. Something like 23 clean sheets. I think they are playing at the time of recording this, so it might be 24. He's a very good goalkeeper, good with the ball at his feet, a good shot stopper. He's young as well. He's come through the ranks, hasn't he? I think at Manchester City. So he's got his best years ahead of him. And Newcastle United, I think, will do very well to get him over the line. And he will be rivaling, whether it be Nick Pope, whether it be Martin Dubravka, for that number one spot. I do think that is a deal that's going to get done. I think the other questions that we need to really ask, and we don't know when they'll be answered. I suppose the question over Fabian Schär's future will only be answered when he signs a new deal or not. Eddie Howe, again, has been quite clear. He would like Fabian Schär to stay. Various reports that Schär would like to stay as well. Let me know in the comments what you think should happen with Fabian Schär. On one hand, as we said, Newcastle United will be building the squad hopefully to compete in Europe next season. So to have Fabian Schär as an option is absolutely fantastic. On the other hand, if you've listened to this podcast, you know that I think Fabian Schär's time at Newcastle United, at least as a guaranteed first-team member of that back four, has come to an end. I think he's lost a little bit of pace. I think we've seen in recent weeks, especially little bit of mistakes creeping back into his game, which had been largely eradicated under Eddie Howe. I just think it is time now to say goodbye to Fabian Schar. Would I personally offer him a new deal? I can see the pros to it. He will still be able to be an effective squad member of the team next season. But would he be happy with that? You've got to remember that he's played for the large part of the last few seasons, the majority of games. How would he handle going from that to being a backup for what would have to be a new centre-back coming in? I don't know. I'm not for one moment suggesting he's going to be a disruptive influence, but I think, and he's right to think this of himself, he's still got a lot to offer a team in a first team capacity. Would there be other Premier League teams in for him on a free? Most certainly. Would he go maybe to Europe for a little bit of an easier time? Potentially. But look, I think both the club and him want to get a deal sorted. But if I was the man making the decisions, I would have to make it clear that he's not first. He's not first choice, and I don't think anyhow goes in and says, X, Y, Z. You're the first name on the team sheet, but I think there are certain players that are first on the team sheet. Alexander Isak, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, for example. But I think there's no way that Newcastle United's back four can start next season with Dan Burn and Fabian Schar and Kieran Trippier as the back four. We know it probably won't do anyway because Tino Livramento is first choice right back. And when Sven Botman comes back, it's then a question of who drops out. As good as Dan Burn has been, it'll probably be Sven Botman. And then you're looking at a new right-sided centre-back to come in. And for me, that has to happen. That has to be one of the top priorities alongside a right winger and a striker in the summer. I think it will be. I think it will happen. And he comes in, whoever that might be, whether it's back to Mark Gee, comes in to replace Fabian Schar. And then the question is all about whether Fabian Schar is prepared to take a backseat role in this Newcastle United squad. I don't doubt for a moment that if he signed a new deal, he'd be able to compete with the likes of Mark Gee, if indeed he was the man to come in. But, if you were going to sign someone for 65, 70 million pounds, or even just a 40, 50 million pound centre-back signing from somewhere in Europe, you don't come in to sit on the bench, do you? And I think that's going to be the real question that has to be asked of Fabian Schar. Are you prepared to accept your lesser role in this Newcastle United squad? If so, sign a deal. Fantastic. You will provide great competition, great backup for your teammates. If not, then you've got to get rid. Some players say, some fans will say you're absolutely crazy for suggesting to get rid of Fabian Schar, especially on a free. And I get it. I get it. Maybe they could do something where they sign him up a little bit like Lloyd Kelly. Obviously, we didn't pay a fee for Lloyd Kelly, but could they sign him up and then sell him towards the end of the summer window and make sure you get a bit of cash? Whether a deal would be agreed with each party knowing that would be the case, I don't know. But that's maybe something they could do. Maybe sign him up with the knowledge that they would look to cash in, or they would cash in if someone came in with a sensible bid for him. I know that I'm in, I think, the minority here. I think you guys watching and listening, the majority of you want Fabian Schar to sign a new deal. But I just go back to that question. Is it him signing a new deal to be a first choice centre-back, or is it him signing a new deal to be a backup? And if that is the case, that's the key question for Fabian Schar. Will he be happy with that? I'm not too sure he would be. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. The other big question is over Jamal Lascelles. Now, Eddie Howe, in his Friday press conference just before the Nottingham Forest game on the Sunday, confirmed to the press that Jamal Lascelles had suffered some minor setbacks to his recovery. Of course, he suffered that ACL injury and he's been out a very, very long time. It's a hard injury to come back from. We've seen Tyrone Mings come back from it at Aston Villa and it's not quite gone to plan. It is a really, really, really horrible injury to bounce back from, and not every player can do it. And even those that do it often have lost maybe that little bit of pace, or maybe are just never the same player. I mean, look what's happening with Sam Botman and his knee injury. Of course, okay, the injury he suffered at the moment is at the opposite knee, but he's taken a long time to come back, and he's taken his time to get back in the swing of things. But on Lascelles, Eddie Howe confirmed that he'd be looking towards the end of the season for Jamal Lascelles to be back in this Newcastle United squad. His deal is up in the summer, and the question is whether he's played his last game for Newcastle United, and that would be a shame. I think He was tremendous. That campaign when he had to fill in for Sven Botman, remember him, PSG at home, he was absolutely fantastic. And I think he really went above and beyond everyone's expectations. He's a fantastic captain, fantastic trainer. I think he would have offered something for this squad for next season. He's 31. I think there will be other suitors for him if indeed he does leave. It's just how he bounces back from that injury. Do I think he's played his last game for Newcastle United? If he's coming back in May, I have to say, yeah, I do. I think we've probably seen the last of Jamal Lascelles, a fantastic servant here. 11 years. He signed in August of 2014. So just under 11 years he's been here. 251 appearances for Newcastle United, 15 goals and 4 assists, 175 games in the Premier League for Newcastle. And I think he's been a tremendous servant. I know they don't do testimonials anymore these days, but he deserves one. He's been absolutely brilliant. I was a little bit surprised actually that he didn't leave when he had the chance, after he did have that kind of good few cameo appearances. Well, it was a bit more than that, with maybe Nottingham Forest interested was the rumour. Could he have gone back to Nottingham Forest? Obviously he didn't do. He played 16 games last season and was really good, especially in the Champions League. And if that is the lasting memory, because he picked up that injury against West Ham, I think it was, towards the back end of last season. And he's been out ever since. He's been out since February 2024, which shows you the length that it takes to recover from an ACL. It's not an easy injury, as I say, to bounce back. And Lascelles struggling to come back. I do think we've probably seen the last of him. As I said, tremendous captain, tremendous servant. Let me know in the comments whether you think it is the end of the road for Jamal Lascelles. And I hope if it is, he finds himself a team and potentially in the Premier League, if not the top end of the Championship. I can still have a few years left, showing everyone more what he's capable of, because he would smash it in the Championship. He definitely would. We hope, though, first and foremost, that his recovery is as quick as it can be. And it's the right recovery, the right road to return for Newcastle United, and if not Newcastle United, to finding another team. The other big question is Callum Wilson, and there's been plenty of speculation about Callum Wilson as well. He's back now, he's fit. That in itself is fantastic news, because I really do think he is up there with one of the best number 9s we've seen at this club. Level of Alan Shearer? No, but he is a tremendous finisher, and it's a big frustration, I think, of everybody that he's been unable to remain fit, because we'd be talking about him scoring well in excess of 100 goals for Newcastle United. As it is, I think he's only, was it 47, 48, something like that. Now third or fourth on the list in the all-time Premier League list of goal scorers for Newcastle United, overtaken by Alexander Isak. But just having him back is fantastic for you, Eddie Howe, because it changes the dynamic straight away for him. If it's not working with Alexander Isak, you can switch it up. You can move Isak over to the left and bring on a proper goal scorer in Callum Wilson. And hopefully, touch wood, he doesn't pick up another injury. And whether this is his last few months on Tyneside, again, Eddie Howe's kind of made suggestions he would like to keep him in. I guess in the world of PSR, it would make sense on one hand, but for that to happen, I don't know. You'd somehow have to guarantee his fitness, and that's just not possible in football, let alone with a man who's got an injury record like Callum Wilson. If it was a pay-as-you-play deal, then I'd be much more on board with that. Could you make it up in a package of bonuses? Gets on the pitch, he gets paid so much on top of a basic wage. But there's no way you want Callum Wilson signing a wage anywhere near £100,000 a week, if that is indeed what he is on, or that's indeed what they would offer him, because he could just get injured again. Unfortunately, that's what happens with Callum Wilson. So if they could do a deal where it benefits everybody, it makes it worth his while to stay and get onto the pitch, and that would be good for Newcastle United. On the other hand, is it time for him just to let him go into the sunset, maybe move to the Middle East and finish his career out there? Look, he's still a clinical finisher, and now he's back. I really do hope he gets back amongst the goals. But for me, I said when he picked up that last injury that I would never see him again playing black and white, and I was wrong about that. I'm happy to be wrong about that. But I think it's time to let him go. I don't want to see him replaced by someone, let me say, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because that's it's just pointless because his injury record is nearly as bad as Callum Wilson's. If you let Callum Wilson go, it means you've got to go and spend big on a player of his capability without his fitness record. And that's the key. How much would replacing Callum Wilson cost Newcastle United in the summer versus getting him to sign a new 1-2 year deal potential? But then the injury record, Newcastle United very much rolling the dice if they do indeed sign Callum Wilson up again, banking on an injury record, which has let them down so many times in recent years. For me, it's not a gamble that I would want to make. I can understand the PSR argument, but for me, let him go in the summer, let him have the last few months, hopefully help Newcastle United win a cup, get back into Europe, and then leave with his head held high, decent goal scoring record on Tyneside, and like I say, maybe go into the Middle East to finish his career off. Let me know in the comments what you want to see with Callum Wilson, what you want to see with Jamal Lascelles, what do you want to see with Fabian Schar? Am I crazy when I say let Fabian Schar go? I think a lot of people would tell me I am. But as I say, I just think mistakes are creeping back into his game. We've seen it too often in recent months. We saw it in the game against City. He wasn't the only one at fault by any stretch of the imagination, but he didn't have a good game there. Games against the likes of Fulham, just backing off your man, giving the striker time to turn and shoot, not being close enough, looking like he's running through treacle at times. The passes that we've known him for not quite coming off. Look, he's probably going to go and have a stormer against Nottingham Forest now. I've said all this, and I'm not sure I'll change my mind, though, because I'm quite set on this. I think it's time to let Fabian Schar go. I want to know what you guys think. Get in the comments. Let me know. It's been a pleasure, as always, to chat to you. Please remember to hit thumbs up, hit subscribe, get your discounted offer on your NordVPN plan as well. Fingers crossed Newcastle United can get all 3 points against Nottingham Forest. Massive game in the race for Europe. They really do need to win this one, because if Forest won, it would take them 9 points clear of Newcastle United, which is just something I can't see them catching. Fingers crossed, though, Newcastle United can beat Forest and get back amongst it for the race for the top 4/5. Been a pleasure as always. Enjoy your weekend.